Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I'm out here at Willow Springs International Raceway with NASA doing my competition license, and I thought, why not take you guys with me and share the experience? Let's go. Alright, so the first thing that we went over at the NASA competition school was signals and communication. Now they really do drill this into you, and we talked about the corner workers and flag stations, hand signals, and even car-to-car communication, like body language from other drivers and how cars move on the track. Now a big emphasis were the flags, not just knowing what they mean, but actually paying attention to them every single lap. Communication on track is huge, especially when things go wrong. But I mean, communication is number one for everything, right? Now before heading out on track, I want to talk real quick about what I'm running. This weekend, I decided to drive my 2021 Subaru WRX STI, and Hoosier hooked me up with a set of their Track Attack Pro tires in 245/35/19s. These are specifically track-focused tires that still make a lot of sense for learning, and they've got a motorsports-derived compound, a stiffer sidewall, and an asymmetric tread design, which really helps with braking, feel, and corner response. For the competition school, it's not about just chasing lap times and being the fastest one out there. It's about consistency, feedback, and confidence. So having a tire that stays predictable and communicates what the car is doing is absolutely huge. Once we were done in the classroom, it was time for the first exercise. Now this wasn't about speed, it was about warming up the car and the driver and showing the instructors how we'd prep for a real race situation. They were mostly observing and watching how we approached the session, but understanding the track direction, surface conditions, knowing where all the corner stations are, especially the black flag station that was mentioned a lot. You also want to map out the bailout points on the track, visual references, knowing and learning how to scrub the tires, and of course having a plan before even rolling out. Having a proper warm-up really does set the tone for the weekend, so we learned to definitely be intentional, aware, and treat every session like it matters. Our first on-track warm-up session, we went back to the classroom for a debrief, and for the sake of the video, I'm just going to move through these slides pretty quick. I just want to show you what we covered, but the focus was really on the reflection and how that session went, what we felt in the car, and what we needed to adjust moving forward. They also did talk a lot about preparation outside of the car, so things like having a checklist, staying hydrated, making sure you're eating right and taking care of yourself. It's really easy to overlook that stuff, but it matters way more than people think. We also went over visual techniques like keeping your eyes up, looking ahead, and using your peripheral vision, and one of the biggest takeaways was not locking onto the car in front of you. Where you look is where the car goes, so you have to stay disciplined with your vision. And then it was time for exercise 2, where we got to put all of that into practice. So this session, it still wasn't about speed, although we did have to maintain the same speed as the person that was in pole position. It was more about awareness, consistency, and being intentional with every lap. They really wanted us to focus on spotting flag stations, being smooth and predictable, and running in traffic. This was where passing and being passed started to matter a little bit more, and obviously the clear communication on track became a big focus, as well as using our peripherals. The instructors were watching closely to see how we adapted and whether we were actually applying what we just learned, or are we falling back into old habits. Our session, we went back to the pits and got a chance to observe a real sprint race and a time trial event that was happening on the same day, which was super helpful. We were able to sit in on their drivers meeting, watched how the teams prepped their cars, and saw what a real race weekend actually looked like behind the scenes. Watching the grid form up, to seeing the procedures, and then watching the race get underway was honestly super cool. It was a great way to get our feet wet and connect everything we were learning to the real thing. session 3, we jumped into some cooperative passing drills. Now I don't have a ton of footage here because it was honestly a pretty quick exercise where we were leapfrogging each other and we were practicing in pairs, just basically working on staying predictable and communicating early. The main idea was to keep things smooth and safe. After that, we jumped straight into a simulated race. This was the closest thing to an actual race scenario that we would get during competition school. We staged, went through the start procedures, and ran it like a real session with traffic, pressure, and decision making all happening at once. This is where everything started to come together, managing nerves, staying aware of the flags, working around other cars, and keeping the car clean and consistent. It wasn't about being the fastest again. It was about being smart, staying predictable, and showing that you can handle yourself in a race environment and applying everything that we learned in class on the track. Honestly, this part made everything feel real. It wasn't just practice anymore. It was a preview of what race weekends are actually like, or at least what it could feel like. This specific exercise, we were actually running about 3/4 of the entire track. So that way everybody can take turns being in pole position, being last, being 5th, or maybe being 3rd. As you see here, when the pace car is pulling away and we get the green flag, we're racing within the first like 3 or 4 turns up until we reach the pace car, which is in the back straight of this track. And then by the time we get to the actual pace car itself, we line everything back up and we just basically kind of start over. So that way we all take turns being in different positions. And of course, so that way everyone has a chance of being pole.
You were dive bombing.
I did.
I saw that.
I hope I don't get in trouble for it.
Second the flag went green, you just boop.
Well, yeah, because green means go. So like I went for it, and I mean I was like up by like one place. It doesn't really matter. But anyways, I went for it. Whatever, it takes place.
Yeah, you were deep in the.
It said go.
You were very deep in the braking zone.
First time I was supposed to pull off, and I was like kind of confused, like when am I supposed to do it? So I think on the 3rd lap I was like, okay, I'm just gonna let people by. But yeah, you're supposed to, once you're in pole, first 3 cars pull off to the right, and then everyone else follows through. The 4th car becomes the pole, everyone else falls back, and then it's just kind of same rotation. But because I had messed up, I was like, I'm just gonna let people go. I messed up on the first like 1 or 2 laps, but it was good. That was probably the best part of the day for sure.
Ready to rock?
So hungry.
They're starving you alive out here.
I'm starving. We haven't even had lunch yet. First time I ate was 6 a.m.
7.
6, whatever the f was. I'm hungry and I gotta go to the racetrack and I have to pee.
Have fun.
I think I need a break. Don't care how long it takes. You know I hate the way you make me feel so dark. You really put my heart. You open in the skies. I think I need a break.
Day 2 of the full competition school was really about taking everything we learned on day 1 and actually applying it. We treated it like a real race day, showing up to the track, warming up, going through pre-grid, running the qualifying laps, and then jumping straight into simulated races. During those simulated races, they actually threw us a curveball. They brought in a couple of former competition school students who were racing that same weekend and dropped them into our race. The whole point was to raise the intensity a bit, add pressure, and see how we would react, how we would handle traffic, unexpected situations, and making decisions under stress. Now, typically for a sprint race, we would be out there for 30 to 35 minutes, but because we were in school and there's other races going on that weekend, we were probably out there for about 10 to 15 minutes. After we wrapped up the on-track portion, we headed back to the classroom for our final exam. Everyone has to take it and everyone has to pass. Between that and being observed throughout the entire weekend, that's how they get to decide whether you're ready for your full competition license or not. It was honestly a really solid way to end the school, challenging, realistic, and a good reminder that racing isn't just about speed. It's about awareness, decision making, and staying composed when things don't go exactly as planned. We learned a lot in such a short amount of time, and I wish I can go a little bit more in depth about it. So I will say that if you are going to take this course, specifically through NASA, it is very fast paced and you do have to keep up, and you do have to have prior racing experience or at least go through their HPDE program. Get approved by your instructor and they can qualify you to push you through the full competition license school. Confusing.
Getting in arguments with everybody.
I'll talk about it later. I got lost. We're out there, we were doing the exercise of like learning how to start. Yesterday we had all messed up because there was a black flag. We were supposed to stay in the hot pit, and instead we all decided to pit and just come back to the classroom, which was completely wrong. So then they had thrown the same flag, and I was like, okay, we're not gonna mess this up. We're gonna go to the hot pits. And so I went to the hot pits, there was a pace car there, and I was like, there's a clear lineup of other cars that need to race because there's other races going on today. Literally, we're all so confused because the Mustang, which is one of the instructors that's part of the school, he was there, and so I had followed him. I was like, I knew to stay in the hot pits, but then he kept pointing, I don't know if that was for me or for everybody else, so I just like stayed where I was and waited for instructions. And then half of the class decided to proceed forward into the hot pits, and I was like, I don't think that's right. And then they were also signaling the same thing, so kind of glad that I stayed, but I don't know at this point. I'm kind of nervous of what the instructor has to say. But it's done now. I'm hungry. 2 rice cakes. No time to eat. Bleep, bleep, bleep. So peanut buttery. It was so fast.
So I waited.
You good?
I was like, where did they go?
I'm good. The instructor was crying, and I was like, stop, I'm gonna cry.
Why?
Because he was crying. I don't like seeing guys cry. I'm like, he's like, I'm so sad. Like, no one was ever there for me when I got my license and my certificate, and we got it. Now we're here. We just keep moving forward.
Monster trucks.
Get these f***ing tears out of my eyes.
It's cool, so what now? Your next plan of attack?
Next plan of attack? Finish building the Spec Miata race car. I get that ready for May 24, 25 back here at Willow Springs Raceway. And then I come back May 3rd and 4th. Same place here, but that'll be an endurance race with Fetterhound Motorsport. Really stoked to see how the car's gonna turn out in the build. We'll focus on that and then give you guys some updates on the build itself and testing it and logging that whole experience. And then with this, go online, take the test, and then once it's published and ready to go back, take my medical exam, and then I get my official NASA competition license, and then I can go racing. Also want to give a shout out to NASA SoCal for having me here at their event at Willow Springs. It was a true honor and blessing to be here. Never thought I would be in this position to be able to get my competition license, which is truly a dream come true. I remember the first time I came out here back in 2019, my first track day. I just came here to just get some seat time, fell in love with the art of racing and the race craft. Took it a little bit more serious, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna invest a lot more in myself, and here we are in 2025, and now I've accomplished my NASA license. Looking forward to my first ever official racing season for 2025 in my NASA Spec Miata. Thank you, NASA, again. Thank you to Aldrin and Brett. Huge thank you to Hoosiers as well for setting my STI up on the Track Attack Pros. I am running the 245 3519. Very, very impressed compared to the tires I was running before. And yeah, thank you both. Appreciate it.
All right.
Alright guys, that was it for today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Also, if you don't know already, I do have my own merch and apparel. Visit theoverdriven.com. Help support me, my builds, and my racing career. Be sure to follow me on all my socials at Courtney Jane Racing. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.
How was
How
school?
are you? School is great. So nice to go to school in a race suit for once. Check that out for a school fit.